Today we're going to talk about the most common problems that beginners usually face when starting an e-commerce business, either through dropshipping or through private labeled products. I remember the days when I was just getting started, and with this video I want to give you guys the answers to the questions that I remember were the most pressing to me back then when I was just getting started. Problem number one, should you start with a general store, a niche store, or a one product store? So in my opinion, there isn't a clear-cut answer to everyone's situation. Any of these three types of stores can have a very good use case depending on your situation. So I'm going to go through the three of them and I'm going to explain, in my opinion, who is each of them good for. Starting with the general store. So my opinion on the general stores, and I realize that might not be a very popular opinion, is that a general store is not a good option for beginners. It doesn't mean that it's not a good option for experienced users, because it is. I think the best case for a general store is for experienced dropshippers who want to test a lot of products quickly and can use general stores to mass test a lot of products every single day. For a beginner though, mass testing is not at all what I would recommend. In order to accurately test a product, you need to know how to set up a website with the bare minimums to do well, you need to have a decent ad strategy, and you need to be familiar with the advertising platforms in order to be able to look at the numbers and make correct decisions without wasting the tests. And this is what leads me to say that if you're a beginner and you're just testing your few products, I would not go for a general store. If you're experienced and you're familiar with the ads platforms and the numbers and the analytics and all of that, you can go right ahead and test 5 products a day to find your winners faster. That is fine. That is a great plan, and there's a lot of experienced dropshippers doing that with general stores. However, if you're a beginner, that is not going to be good for your learning experience, and in the long run, you think you're actually testing more products, but your learning process is a lot slower, because if you're doing one product at a time, you're focusing on improving your skills, whether that be copywriting, media buying, all of those things, one product at a time. Whereas if you're testing a lot of them, you're not really focusing on anything and you're not getting better. So your progress might turn out to be a lot slower. The second option is niche stores. Now, niche stores is a sweet spot between the general store and the one product store. The more experienced businesses that have these general stores for mass testing usually take their best products into a niche store so they can then scale them with a more branded approach and can create a brand around the winning products. However, this is not a bad choice for a beginner. You can create a brand around a particular niche and then focus your attention on 1 or 2 products and fill the rest of the store with 4 to 5 extra products that complement this niche branded approach without dispersing your attention too much, because you'll still be focused on that 1 or 2 main products. Which takes me to my favorite option for beginners, which is one product stores. From my experience in consulting with businesses that wanted to either start e-commerce businesses or take their businesses online, start doing e-commerce, one product stores is how people learn faster. And it's just going to make you better at e-commerce. Because you're focusing on everything individually, it limits the numbers of variables that you have to work with. And by doing that, you streamline your learning process and fix whatever is not working so you can start to see success a lot faster. So to sum it up, all of these 3 models have their advantages, but for a beginner, I would recommend one product stores. Problem number 2, Facebook ads or TikTok ads. So Facebook has been the king as the beginner-friendly platform for a long time. But recently, with the iOS 14 changes and the war with Apple, that has changed. To have accurate data for your Facebook ads platform is currently not cheap at all. You need tools that cost between $300 and $800 to be able to track your Facebook ads information correctly, which for a beginner is not a friendly thing to do, to spend $300 to $800 up front before you even do anything, just to make sure that you can have the opportunity to scale your Facebook ads. Other issues like Facebook being very trigger happy with their bans make Facebook a hard platform to learn for a beginner right now. So Facebook is still very good, and I definitely recommend that anyone with an established brand invests on Facebook ads because it's an amazing platform. Personally, I still think that Facebook has the best algorithm for advertising, but for a beginner, it involves a lot of expenses and a lot of fine-tuning to get everything to work smoothly. So for a beginner, I would recommend TikTok ads. TikTok ads has a very user-friendly interface, very similar to Facebook. You can use interest targeting strategies and broad targeting strategies. And with $200 to $300, you can easily test a product accurately, which is something that right now for Facebook is very hard to do because, again, you need a lot of third-party tools. So my answer to this is, if you're a beginner, start testing with TikTok ads. If you're not a beginner, you should be using both, and definitely don't overlook Facebook. Problem number 3, can't find winning products. If I had to guess, I would say this is one of the top 3 hurdles that gets people to give up on their e-commerce businesses, the fact that they struggle to find winning products. Before I even get into the topic, let me tell you that if you're starting your first store now, you should be prepared to test a few products before you find your winning product. And setting the right expectations is also very important. I'll also talk about that later in the video. Now, when it comes to methods to find winning products, my favorite method to find winning products is through data-driven product research. I like to use tools like AdSpy that allow me to filter through multiple different ads to find products that have metrics that seem interesting to me, and then I will take those offers, I will tweak them a bit, and I will test them to see what kind of results I get. I also like to use this method to identify products that are just starting to take off, and then research for products that are similar or that would appeal to the same target audience. Because when a product is doing well, that tells me that there is an audience there and there is space in the market, not just for that product, but potentially for other related products. If you're interested in learning more about my product research method, click the link in the top right corner of the screen to check out a video about my product research method. Another great method to find winning products that you should never overlook is scrolling through your Facebook and Instagram feeds. And trust me, I know from experience this can be a very, very good method. And remember, consistency is the most important thing. You don't have to be a genius, you just have to be consistent. If one product doesn't work, move on to the next. I like to keep a list of products ready to test at any point in time. So when I'm scrolling through my feeds, I find a product, I copy the ad link and the product link to my list, so I have a very long list of products to test anytime that I need it. Number 4, what is more important, the product or the ad strategy? So I believe that the ad strategy is the least impactful thing in your whole strategy. Your product is more important than your ad strategy, but also your creative is more important than your ad strategy. If you have a good product and if you have a good creative, you will do well. Maybe you can't scale very well because your ad strategy is not very good and it kind of falters between the testing and the scaling phase, but you will see a successful testing phase regardless of your ad strategy being good or bad if your product is good and if your creative is good. So the creative and the product are the 2 most important things. First, the creative. If your creative is not good, you can have the most amazing product in the world and the traffic that you do drive to the website will end up probably converting, but you will drive very expensive traffic because your creative does a poor job of capturing people's attention. And if you drive traffic at a very high cost, then there's a good chance that your campaign is not going to be profitable. And then of course your product is very important because you might have an amazing creative, you drive traffic at a very competitive cost, but then people get to the website and it doesn't convert. That is why you need to have both a very good creative and a very good product to have a successful offer. Number 5, what is the best ad strategy? So I'm going to talk about TikTok ads. I'm going to talk about Facebook ads because I know most of you guys are going to be using these 2 platforms. First, for TikTok ads, I like to use a simple setup with ad set budget optimization of 5 ad sets targeting a mixture of interests and broad ad sets. So I always test at least one broad with the other ad sets targeting interests that closely relate to your product. Now, depending on the size of the market appeal of your product, you have to match that with the interests that you're using. So if your product has a very wide mass market appeal, if it's something that could be for a lot of people, for example, let's say a chandelier for a piece of home decor, everyone who has a home can use it, right? So those kind of things you can get away with large interests. But if you have a product that is specific for a group of people that have a certain interest, then you should look to find more targeted interests so you can find your ideal audience. Facebook, on the other hand, will take pieces of your ad copy, and just from your ad copy, if you use broad targeting, you can see amazing results because the Facebook algorithm is that good. It can get the clues from your ad copy on who your target audience is, and even if you do broad targeting, it can find your buyers. And for Facebook, that is why I recommend the strategy that is based on broad targeting with a few general interests. This is the same strategy that I've recently included in my Facebook free course. If you haven't checked that out yet, I'll leave a link in the corner so you can check out this strategy. Problem number 6. Facebook bans. If you've been paying any attention to the e-commerce space recently, you know that Facebook has been a little bit too trigger happy with their bans recently. Sometimes bans get triggered for very small subtleties. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a few suggestions of changes that you can implement to protect yourself from Facebook bans. The first thing is you should split your essential business assets across different business managers. And by essential business assets, I mean your ad account and your pixel. Those 2 should definitely not be in the same business manager. What I like to do is split them across 2 different business managers and then have a third one, which I use to run the ads that doesn't have neither the ad account nor the pixel inside of it. With a setup like this, even if your ad account gets banned and that triggers a ban on the whole business manager, your pixel and your data will always be safe and you'll be able to utilize it if you get a new business manager to run your ads. The second thing is Facebook ad policy. Now, listen to this story because this is actually something that happened to me. A while ago, I had an ad that kept being restricted by the bots on Facebook. So I would try and run the campaign and it would just come back with a restriction every single time. I tried to do the manual appeal, and every time there was a manual review, it would get approved. But once it started running, the bots would trigger the same restriction and it would be restricted right over again. So even though the Facebook reps considered that there was nothing wrong, every time that they reinstated the ad, it ended up just being restricted again because it triggered something on the bot. So I was tired of this. I didn't want it to happen again. I read through the entire Facebook ad policy, and in there, I found something that actually was the problem. So hear this out. Facebook does not allow you to direct your prospects on what they should do. So you can't tell people what to do in your ads, basically. That's what it means. I had a sentence in my ad copy that said, watch this product do this thing. I wasn't directing anyone to do anything, not necessarily, but there was this sentence that said, watch this product do this thing. This was actually what was triggering the ban. I reworded my ad copy. I removed the watch this, and without the watch this, the restrictions did not get triggered ever again. Sometimes it might be worth taking some time out to just read the ad policy and figure out what could be triggering the ban. Because sometimes it's in the details, in these small things that Facebook uses to trigger a certain ad policy violation. The third recommendation is always have more than one personal profile accessing your business manager. Because if your personal page gets banned and you only have that personal page with admin access to the business manager, you can't access your business manager or any of the assets anymore. So always get someone else's personal profile to be added in the business manager as an admin. So in the worst case, if your personal page gets banned, you will still be able to access your business assets. Problem number 7, PayPal holding your money. If you've recently started scaling a store for the first time and you're using PayPal, which I recommend that you do, by the way, you will probably face this issue where PayPal starts holding your money for a good amount of days until you can actually use it. This happens because PayPal wants to protect itself from eventual chargebacks. PayPal doesn't trust you yet. It doesn't know if you're a legitimate business, so they will hold your money for a while for the event that your customers start filing chargebacks against you. Now, these holds will disappear over time, but it will take a while. And there's a few things you can try to do. You can try to call them, you can try to appeal to them and try to make them understand that it is damaging your business, but this doesn't work for everyone. One thing that is also very important is that you upload all your tracking numbers to PayPal. There are Shopify apps that do this automatically, so make sure that you have something that is uploading your tracking numbers when you ship your orders to PayPal. While your money is being held, you need to make sure that you're very aware of the cash flow that you have, because the issue that a lot of people face is that they run out of money to ship the orders, and then customers start filing chargebacks, and then you really have a problem. So make sure that you don't scale any more than you can afford, because if you do, you will run out of money to ship the products and then you'll have a major issue. Problem number 8, not having enough money to start. A very common concern for beginners is not having enough money to start their business. Well, I have good news and I have some bad news for you. The good news is that in this day and age, it's perfectly possible to start an e-commerce business with a very low budget because of how you can drive traffic organically without paying for any ads. If you know how to create content that will go viral, you can drive a lot of traffic to your store and generate a lot of sales without needing to pay for any ads. In the long term, this is not a consistent strategy, and you do want to invest in ads in the long term, but when you get to that point, you already have the profit that you generated from your organic sales, and you can then reinvest that profit into your ads without needing a lot of money up front. Keep in mind though, you still need some cash to shoot decent content and of course to buy your products and get a decent website. And now here's the part of the news that might not be so nice. The idea of starting a dropshipping business or an e-commerce business with no money is really not something that I can stand behind. As with any business, you need to invest money before you see returns. Now, there's definitely a lower entry barrier to this business than to a brick and mortar business, for example, because you can drive traffic organically, not even pay for ads. But for example, if it were me, I would invest in learning how to do viral content, and I would be willing to spend a considerable amount of money to learn the skills that would then lead me to be successful. Yes, you can still do it through trial and error, but the amount of time and money that you spend through trial and error is usually a worse investment. So if you can pay for a shortcut that can help you succeed faster, that's what I would do. And I'm speaking from experience. When I was getting started, I spent a lot of money in courses and mentorships to learn the skills that I needed to first find success. And this is why I say that the idea of starting a business with no money is not the best way to do it, because you still need some money. Even if you're not investing all of it in the business, you still need to learn the skills to succeed in that business, unless you already have the skills, of course. So if you have no money to start with, what I would recommend is get a part-time job, do some freelance work, save up some money, and then you can invest in learning the skills to start your business. This is what I did myself, by the way. I was a private teacher for a while, which allowed me to save some money that then was reinvested into the skills that I used for my e-commerce business. So definitely save up some money, invest in yourself, so you will have the skills to succeed. By the way, if you're interested in a video like this on how you can leverage your time to save up some money and then invest in your own education, I do have some thoughts on that. If you think that would be interesting, let me know in the comments and I'll do a video just about that. Problem number 9, dropshipping and product quality. A lot of people have this idea that everything that gets shipped from China or everything that is a dropshipping business is bad quality and lousy customer support, and you're probably going to get scammed. I really disagree with this. If you think about a company like Apple, the most valuable company in the world, I believe, by market cap, they dropship products. If you order a MacBook and they don't have it in stock, they will dropship it from their factory in China via DHL. So the product will in fact be dropshipped from the Apple factory in China. Dropshipping only means that you don't hold inventory. That's the only thing that it means. The quality of your customer service, the quality of your products, all of those things are on you and on your business model. Dropshipping is just a fulfillment model. The business model is always e-commerce. So it's up to you as an e-commerce business owner or dropshipper to make sure that you're shipping quality products, that you're taking good care of your customers, and you're building something for the long term. And the unfortunate truth is that in the early days of dropshipping, because the barrier to entry was so low, a lot of people flocked into this business model without putting any effort into it. And then they posted a lot of things online and they created this idea around dropshipping that it's this get rich quick scheme kind of thing. And it's really not. Companies like PayPal and Facebook have really cracked down on these low effort, dodgy businesses. And now, if you want to start an e-commerce business, you have to put effort into it. You have to make sure that your customers are happy, which is a good thing. We really have no interest in having people in the industry that will give the e-commerce business model a bad reputation. So it's a good thing that these platforms are more demanding on the businesses, because that means that it is more likely that people won't be suspicious of you. And of course, it raises the bar to make sure that you provide a good quality product or a good quality service to your customers. Problem number 10, unrealistic expectations. I think this is the number one thing that makes people give up on their e-commerce businesses. People start thinking that they're going to make a lot of money within 1 to 2 months, and then they test 3 products, those products don't work, and they give up and they say that dropshipping is saturated or dropshipping is dead or whatever, and they give up. By the way, dropshipping is a fulfillment model, not a business model. The business model is e-commerce, so there is no way that a fulfillment model can be saturated. It doesn't make sense. It's the same thing as saying that fulfilling products from your home is a saturated business model. It is not a business model. The business model is e-commerce, and I think we can agree that it is definitely a not saturated business model. The same way you would say that retail is saturated. I don't think e-commerce or retail are saturated. So this problem comes from the fact that people set unrealistic expectations for themselves going into the business. They think they're going to be massively successful and they're going to build a brand in just a few months, and that is just not realistic. Most people that I know now in the e-commerce space that are doing really well and have made their own brands took at least a year to see their first success. And they were testing products. They spent quite a bit of money into testing products, finding new products, testing new things, and in their own education. By the way, if you think about it, 1 to 2 years to get a business to become successful is nothing. It's a very short amount of time to invest before you see success. Most business models will take a lot longer than that. So it is still a business model that can grow very fast, but keep in mind that it's not something that happens overnight. If you believe that you will see success very quickly, it is very likely that if it doesn't happen, you will be extremely demotivated and you will want to give up. And you know what? Giving up is the only way that you won't make it. Think about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.